But we, as humans, we get stressed out at the thought of hello, welcome back. I think one of the biggest luxuries in life is finding peace in your day-to-day life. And that is why today we are going to be talking about stress and how to reduce it. So this year you can have a peace of mind and honestly get more done. Because being calm actually helps you get the things done that you need to do and want to do. When you are very stressed out or your brain is very chaotic, it is very hard to get things done because it's very jumbled up here. It's like a tornado is circling around in your head and you're sitting down trying to complete one thing and you can't even think straight because it's just so busy and there's just so much chaos up here. So yes, today we are going to be talking about stress, what it does to us, and how to get rid of it, because I truly think that lowering stress and anxiety is one of the best things you can do and will help you in so many ways. It will help you achieve your goals. It will help you in your relationships. It will help you in your relationship with yourself. It will help you see the world in a better light. It's something that I have struggled with for so long, is being chronically stressed out. I mean, I was throwing up because I had so much stress and so much anxiety. I could not think clearly. I felt helpless. I was so stressed out that I just felt helpless because I didn't know where to go and what to do. And every time I tried to think straight, I just felt like I couldn't. That is how I felt. And slowly, I will not say I'm 100% not stressed out, because that is not true. This is a very long process for me because it started in my childhood. I saw this quote the other day that said, when you're born into a burning house, you think the whole world is on fire. And that explains how my life was. I was born into chaos and I lived in chaos. And it wasn't until I became a teenager and got a foster family that I was able to settle down and not live in chaos. But then college happened and then I moved, and then there was a lot of stuff that came with that, and I feel like I just became anxious again and started to have the normal, stressful, anxiety-filled life. Then this past year, I realized, hey, you know what? This isn't working because I feel terrible. I don't feel good, and I feel like my head is both muddy water because I can't think clearly and also a tornado. And if you feel this way, trust me, you are not alone. It is so normal today to have high levels of stress, even in jobs. One of the mega billionaires used to say about the people who work for him, I hope they wake up every day terrified. That is the world we are living in today, where mega billionaire CEOs want their workers to be absolutely terrified. And I just think that is not right. Honestly, it's not right, because we work better when we are calm. And wanting people to be scared of losing their job is a very weird thing to me. And also, let's say that person does really well in their job and they open up their own company and now they have everything they've ever wanted. They still are gonna feel stressed out because they have been triggered to be in the fight or flight mode. So even when everything is good in their life, they will still feel the revved up anxiety and stress. And I just think that is awful. Then once you have everything, you can't even enjoy it. But that is not going to be you, because today I'm going to tell you how to reduce stress and why you should even care about doing it. Because you might be thinking, yeah, well, I kind of know what to do, but I don't know if I'm really stressed out. Well, we're going to dive into that. We are going to dive into that because right now I'm reading a book called Behave. This book is full of experiments and research done that shows how our body reacts to a lot of different things. But there was one section on stress, and that is what I'm going to talk about right now, so you know if you're stressed or not. Because you might be like, well, I'm not that stressed, and I read something and you're like, actually, I might be stressed. And then what I'm gonna do is help you, because this is something I'm doing right now and I have been doing for a year now. And I do realize that slowly, surely, my stress has gone down. It's not gone. I'm not gonna lie to you, it is not gone, but it has gone down, and I believe it will continue to go down. Okay, so in other animals, what creates stress is being thrown out of homeostasis, like actually actually being thrown out of homeostasis. But we, as humans, we get stressed out at the thought of we might be thrown out of homeostasis, you know, anticipating something might happen. And I don't know about you, but me personally, I think a lot. So this can be a problem because there's so many what ifs, you know, what if this happens, or what if this doesn't work out? And that is what is creating stress in us, because if we're thinking about something happening that's going to throw us out of homeostasis, our bodies release the stress hormones, and now we're stressed out. Even though it didn't happen, we're still stressed out. And I'm gonna let you know, not all stress is bad. If we were never experiencing stress at all, we would have very bleak lives. I just want to clarify that not all stress is bad. Like when you go on a roller coaster, right? We get stressed out when we're going up. We know we're gonna come down, but we get a little stressed out when we're coming up, and then we go down and our stomach drops, the whole thing. That is normal stress because it's there and then it's gone. It creates excitement. You know, maybe you don't love roller coasters, but maybe there's something else that you love to do that kind of has that, you know, oh, okay, here we go, and then it's like, woo! It's both stressful and fun. That's short-lived stress. You know, once you're off, you're like, okay, ride is done, what's the next one? But you're not continuing to stay stressed out about going up and then dropping because it already happened. So a little bit of stress in circumstances like that, I mean, it's good. It's what makes life exciting. And, you know, a little bit of stress when you're trying to complete a project, a little bit is good. A lot, not good. But a little bit, it's okay. As long as we're not constantly staying in that state of being stressed out. Now, I'm going to be talking about how we experience stress. And if you're wondering if you're stressed out or not, this might be a good time to ask yourself, is this something that's a problem for me? Because maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And if you're not sure if you're stressed, it could help you see if you are or you're not. Number one, fear. Stress makes it very hard to unlearn fear and very easy to learn fear and stick to it. So let's say you become scared of something. If you feel like you've been scared of that thing for a very long time, and in that time you've become scared of more things, you might be stressed out. Granted, this is not about normal things that everyone's kind of scared of. I mean, not everyone is scared of all these things, but there's the normal ones that people tend to be scared of, like heights or spiders or walking alone at night in a dark alley. You know, like there's things that we tend to be scared of no matter what. But if you have fears of things that a lot of people don't have fears of, and you realize that the fear is just getting worse and you're becoming more scared of other things, that could be a sign that you're chronically stressed. Stress also impairs working memory. So if you feel like you can't sit down and work on something for even 20 minutes, that could be a sign of also having chronic stress, because you can't focus and you can't remember things and you can't stick to a thought. That a lot of time ties back to stress, because again, if your mind is very, very busy, it's hard to think and follow through with thoughts. Stress also makes it harder to shift focus when switching tasks. So, you know, it does take a few minutes to get into something. Like let's say you're reading a book and then you're gonna go work on your laptop. It probably will still take 5 minutes to kind of get into the zone of working versus reading. But if it takes you a really long time, like say 20 to 30 minutes, that could also be a sign of chronic or sustained stress. Stress also makes us more antisocial or not good when being around other people. It has a negative impact on our emotional regulation. So if you feel very emotional all the time, it might be because you're stressed out. And it also is not good for risk assessment. We tend to have impaired risk assessment where we're really stressed out, and that's when you see people go gamble away a ton of money that they shouldn't be gambling, but they're like, hey, why not? You know, like it makes sense because when you're stressed out, you're just looking for a way out, but it's very risky and could have a really bad impact on your life. It is not a good thing to do. But when we're stressed out, we're not as good evaluating risk as if we weren't. So it does make sense. Also, something good to think about, to not make any big decisions that are super risky and could have a tremendous downfall if you feel like you are very stressed out. And the last thing is empathy. We tend to lack empathy when we're more stressed out, and I mean that makes sense. Like if you're just having so much up here, it's very hard to then add another thing and think about how someone else is feeling or what someone else has gone through. And I think that's the biggest thing, is like if you just have all this stuff spiraling up here like a big tornado of thoughts and it's all muddy and dirty, it's very hard to do a lot of things because your mind is just crazy. It's just a storm up there. Okay, so that is all the effects that stress stress have on us and the big problem. That's why I say I think one of the biggest luxuries is finding peace in your everyday life, because how we spend our days is how we spend our lives. So it would not be a fun life if we spent every day super stressed out. And I share this because I have been stressed out my entire life, I feel like, until recently. And I'm still a little bit stressed, but I'm way less stressed than before. And I think that once I started to not be as stressed out, life just got better. The way I saw life was just better, and it helped a lot with my depression as well. So stress can make our lives seem very just dark and depressing because we feel constantly overstimulated and like we can't do anything and we can't change. Just so many things, honestly. Like stress is not good for us. Now we're gonna get into how to reduce stress if you think that you are someone who may be suffering from sustained or chronic stress. So first of all, of course, I'm going to mention this. Number one, practice meditation, practice mindfulness, practice just sitting there doing nothing for 20 minutes. And in today's society, it is hard because the media companies have made it so that we never have to be bored. Back in the day, there was books and people read books, and so they had to use their imagination to make the images in their head. And then TV came along, and so people's attention span got a little bit shorter, but you know, it's still TV and you have to wait for the commercials and you have to wait for next week's episode. You can't just sit down and binge watch on Netflix. But then social media came. And here's the thing with social media is that you're not paying for those apps. You don't pay for Instagram, you don't pay for TikTok. I mean, you don't even pay for YouTube unless you choose to do any of the premium subscriptions on any of those, but like you don't pay for them because you are paying with your attention. The companies hire people and pay them huge salaries to find out how to make you addicted to those platforms. They want you on there for as long as possible. And if we think about this, time is the only thing we'll never get back. Every day is a day gone that we'll never get back again. And we don't know when our end day is. So to me, it is a big problem because these apps keep you on there and it's just draining you of time that you could spend doing something else. I think that's why it's really important to, you know, be mindful of how long you're spending on these things, because it is very easy to just keep scrolling and keep looking. And then all of a sudden you're looking at someone's page that you don't even know, and now you're looking at their friend's page and it's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? But I will tell you, you know what? It's not your fault because there are people up there making you addicted to these things because you are paying with your attention. I mean, think about it. Even on YouTube, you're watching a video. If you're even bored for 1 second, just 1 second, guess what? You got suggested videos on the side here. You're gonna click on one of those. Like, our attention spans are becoming really, really, really short. And I think that having a longer attention span will be so beneficial in today's society because it's something that a lot of people are struggling with. So if you can get there, one, I think that you will automatically find more peace in your life because when you have a longer attention span, you can get more done. And two, you won't be overstimulated by all of these media. Overstimulation comes right before stress. And social media apps, if we spend too much time on them, can overstimulate us very much. Two, writing. I always say this, I know, but writing is very important. Journaling every day. Make some time just every day. Even if you can only make 5 minutes a day, that is amazing because journaling gets out all of the thoughts up here onto paper and now your mind trusts that it's somewhere else. You know, like you don't have to think about it all the time. It knows, hey, you know what? You did write this down, so you don't need to have this same thought all day, every day. And I think that is the beauty in writing, is it is such a good way to clear out your mind. And also gratitude will also help relieve our stress. So if you can gratitude journal at some point in the day, that is also going to help lower your stress levels. 3, physical activity. And if you can go outside, that is a bonus. Physical activity releases endorphins, which will help us feel good. They're part of our feel good chemicals. It also helps lower cortisol, which is our stress hormone, and this activates fight, flight, or freeze mode. I think the recommended right now 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity a week. So that could be like a 20-minute walk every day. I mean, just walking is really good for you. Just getting outside and walking is amazing. And if you can do other things like lift weights or cardio, that is going to be even better. You're gonna get more endorphins and you're just gonna feel better. And also it helps with sleep. It will help you sleep at night. So that is amazing. For a healthy diet, I can make a whole video about about good foods to eat and stuff, but we're not gonna do that this video. I will say, I think the biggest thing is to stay away from white sugar, seed oils, because these cause inflammation, and processed foods, because processed foods also cause inflammation. And when your body is experiencing inflammation, it does not feel good. And so that is not good for your brain either. And also your gut is very tied to how you feel. So another thing you can do is get a probiotic. I take a probiotic every day. I'll link it down below. And also other supplements that help with stress and anxiety are magnesium, which I take, and L-theanine, which I also take. I think it's also good to just go in if you can and get a blood test done and see if you're lacking in any vitamins or nutrients, because that could also be causing you to not feel great and causing you to feel stressed. So I do think it is good to go in and see what's going on in there. Also fish oil. Fish oil is good. I will link everything I take for stress down below. So if you guys want to check it out, feel free. 5 is limit caffeine intake. And I'm going to share something with you guys because I never thought this was going to happen. I stopped drinking coffee. I only drink tea now, and I drink mostly matcha, but I also have black tea, which is a little bit higher in caffeine. But before, I was drinking like anywhere between 4 and 8 shots of coffee a day. And that's not even including drinking Celsius before I worked out. Like, I was inhaling caffeine. And then I read an article about how caffeine from coffee in particular is not the best for you. And that's why you crash and you might start sweating and you get kind of irritated. And I was like, you know what? I think I gotta stop drinking coffee. It was slow, I will say. It went from like, I would drink 4 cups a day to 2 cups to 1 cup to I had it every once in a while. And now I'm just drinking tea. And it honestly has helped a lot with my anxiety. Caffeine feels really good when you drink it for like the first 20 minutes, but then after that, it's like really high anxiety and then it's like a crash. And I was like, is it really worth that 20 minutes? Probably not. I had to cut that out. 6 is spend time with people. And I'm gonna go beyond this and say the right people. I think that if you spend time with the wrong people, it might cause you to feel more stressed. I feel like if I feel like I can't be myself around people, it makes me stressed out because I'm not being who I really am. But around the right people, it does make me feel good. And I always leave there, you know, feeling happy and like, okay, this was a good day. But I do think it's important to find the right people, because if you're hanging out with someone and you leave and you don't feel good, maybe that's not the right person for you. But I talk about that more in another video, so we're not gonna go too far into that. But when you're around people, it one pulls you out of isolation. If you're kind of like me, I spend a lot of time alone. I like to be alone, but sometimes it gets a little too intense. And so I have to go be with people, and it just kind of helps pull you back down to earth. Reduces like that sense of isolation and gives you a sense of belonging, which, you know, we like to feel. So that is also a good thing to do. Number 7 is build a schedule. I cannot tell you guys how much this has reduced my stress, because if I just take some time in the beginning of the week or Sunday and schedule out my week, I already know what I'm doing. And I saw this idea and I thought it was such a good idea, and I already am doing it. I just didn't really know how to put it into words. But basically in my notes app, I have like a ton of folders for different things, and I use that as like a brain dump. So let's say I'm on a walk or I'm doing something, or it's right before bed and I don't want to get up and write out a whole thing. What I do is I put it in my notes, and then later on I bring that to my schedule and see where that fits in. So like, let's say I remember, oh, I need to go get an oil change. Well, if I'm not by my calendar, I'm not gonna put it in right away, but what I am gonna do is put it in my notes. So okay, I had that thought, it's out, so my brain can let go of it, and then I know I'm gonna go back to it, and as soon as I have access to my calendar, I'm gonna schedule in that time to get the oil change. And I think this is really good because you either have a messy mind or a messy calendar, and I think it is much better to have a messy calendar than a messy mind. Number 8 is to have a creative outlet, no matter what it be. Creating really helps reduce our stress because 1, it helps us process our emotions and get them out, and 2, when you're creating, it's hard to be super stressed out and creative at the same time. And finally, I would say talk to yourself as you would talk to a friend. Like when you're feeling really, really stressed out, or you feel a lot of guilt, which can also make us stressed out, talk to yourself as you would talk to a friend. The reason I say this is because I think that we talk to ourselves so mean. We are so mean to ourselves, but we would never be that mean to someone else. So when we take a step back and be like, okay, but what if you were your best friend? How would you talk to them? And what advice would you give them? And do that for yourself, because something I've learned is that there are so many things in our lives. Like, we all have such different upbringings and experience different events, and some of them are very traumatic, and maybe how we were in that time was how we thought was best. And it might have been a way to protect ourselves or to make us feel safe. And maybe we get older and we realize, oh my gosh, why did I do that? And you start to feel guilty. But just know that, like, at that time, it was a way for you to feel safe or protected or a certain way, and you cannot hold that against you. As we go through life, we learn things about ourselves and we learn things about life that we didn't know earlier. So I think not holding all that guilt inside and understanding that none of us are perfect, and we all make decisions and we all do things that, you know, maybe down the line we are not super proud of, but we all do it. And I think forgiving yourself is extremely important. It is so important. Okay, so that is it for this video. I will write some little things you can do down below, like breathing exercises and things that help me if you're feeling very, very stressed at the moment, or anytime that you're feeling really stressed out. Like, these have really helped me just calm down in that moment. But that is it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if there's anything you want me to talk about, please let me know down below. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye!